Words mean more than what is set down on paper. It takes a human voice to infuse them with deeper meaning. That was just one saying of such a remarkable lady, and who overcame a lot of hardships in her life, and she had to go through a lot of things to get to be the person that she is, and that person is Dr. Maya Angelou. And through everything that she went through, all the hardships that she overcame, she became a very, very well-known singer, writer, teacher, civil rights activist, and an inspiration to many people. She achieved all she set her mind to, and but not without work or tears. She had to overcome a lot of things, and she became a pivotal part of the American society. And through it all, she stayed true to her values, her beliefs, tried to share and inspire every person that she came in contact with. And being such an influential person, it didn't come easy. But her past made her who she was. She was born Marguerite Annie Johnson in 1928, April the 4th. Her brother was named Bailey, and he actually couldn't say her name Margaret, so he started calling her Ma, which was short for my sister. But then he, at that time, he was 7 years old, and so he read a book about the Mayan Indians, so he started calling her Maya, which was a nickname after that book. She was born in St. Louis, Missouri. At the age of 3, her parents divorced, and she moved to Stamps, Arkansas, where she experienced racial discrimination. She absorbed deep religious faith from her grandmother, and she gives all the credit to her grandmother because that's who raised her and gave her the values and the background that she had. And she, thanked her grandmother for instilling such strong values and beliefs in her life. When she was 7, she was visiting with her mom, and she was sexually molested by her mom's boyfriend. And so she didn't want to tell anybody. She was so ashamed, but she did confide in her brother, Bailey, and they were really close. So she confided in him, and then a few years later, she come to find out that her uncle had killed the man that did this to her, and she felt so guilty about it and thought that because of her words, this man was dead. So she went 5 years without speaking a word. She never spoke anything else until she was 13 years old. So then she was living with her mom at the time. She had moved back with her mom. She went to Mission High School. And she there had scholarships to study dance and drama at San Francisco Labor School. She dropped out of school in her teens to be the first African American woman cable car conductor ever. So she returned to high school, and then she became pregnant. So this was just, other things that she had to go through life and she had to overcome. But she did graduate a few weeks before her son Guy was born. And even though it was hard, she had a hard childhood. She had to go through a lot of things. She grew up knowing her background, and it didn't set her back. She was determined to be an inspiration to people, to be successful. And we all should know the diversity makes for a rich tapestry. We must understand that all that threads of the tapestry are equal in value, no matter what the color. That was one of her sayings that came from her website. It's a biography by Maya Angelou. So after all of that, and she finished school and she was raising her son in 1952, she married Anastasios Angelopoulos, which is where she got her last name. Angelou. So she began singing in nightclubs. She was getting even more popular, and her career was flourishing. So she ended up taking her nickname and part of her last name, and her stage name became Maya Angelou. She toured Europe. She did Porgy and Bess in 1954 and 55. And these statistics were taken from Heart and Vine off of a biography about Maya Angelou. She then moved to New York. She was employed by the Harlem Writers Guild. She fell in love with a civil rights activist. His last name was Make, and in 1960, and then she moved to Cairo, Egypt with him and her son. She was there. She became an editor of the Arab Observer, and then she then moved to Africa and was an administrator at the University of Ghana School of Music. After that, she moved back to the U.S. in 1964 in hopes of working with Malcolm X with the Civil Rights Movement. Unfortunately, he was killed within that time frame, so she didn't get to work with him. But Maya had many accomplishments to show for her hard works and travels. And she was able to live her life to the fullest, just like she quoted, "All great achievements require time." She was the first African American to be nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. She wrote screenplays for the film Georgia, Georgia. She was the American Bicentennial Commission. She was on that commission, presented that by President Ford. And this information was taken off of the Academy of Achievement. It was also a biography on Maya Angelou. President Carter invited her to be on the Presidential Commission for the International Year of the Woman. She read a poem which was called "On the Pulse of the Morning" at Clinton's inauguration, which she wrote. She was a professor of American Studies at Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. All of her public works, were over 30 titles. She appeared in Poetic Justice. She appeared in Roots, and she received several awards like the Presidential Medal of Arts in 2000, Ford's Theater Lincoln Medal in 2008, and 2011 Obama presented her with nation's highest civilian honor, which was the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So throughout her life, she did have to overcome some hard things, but this was a phenomenal woman, which is a piece of work. Actually, one of her books that she wrote called Phenomenal Women. She worked hard and believed in herself in spite of all she had to endure on her journey through life. She stayed true to her roots and was always able to remind us that we all are God's children and we should live in peace and harmony. We should respect and love one another. Maya Angelou was the epitome of every word she ever wrote. Prejudice is a burden that confuses the past, threatens the future, and renders the present inaccessible. She was a warrior for equality, tolerance, and peace.